Okay. Good evening, everyone. I, Anupama Gupta, on behalf of Wiki's Delhi Mentoring and Skill Council, welcome you all to the open panel discussion on a recently introduced bill to raise the legal marriage age for women from 18 years to 21 years and bring it par with men in India. Today, in this discussion, we are going to weigh the pros and cons and thoughts which we come across our mind when we look into the details of this bill and try to determine how it will impact the Indian women across the country. Today, I welcome on board Advocate Nupur Singhal, President UP Anti-Sexual Harassment Council, Shreyoshi Maitra, National President Social Media Council, Dhwani Jain, President UP Soft Skills and Mentoring Skill Council, Kavita Agarwal, National Child Care Council, Shikha Agnihotri, President Delhi Safety and Security Council, Kalyani, President Wiki India South Korea Bilateral for Business and Country Chair for G100 Mentoring and Motivational Council, and Radhika Gupta, President Delhi Mentoring and Skill Council. Welcome you all. Today, we also will have Advocate Vikram Srivastava. He's the founder, Independent Thought. He'll be joining us towards the end of the discussion, I believe. Nupur, if I'm correct, is that
I
correct?
think already there. He's already there. Welcome,
Oh, he's already
Vikram.
there.
Yeah.
Welcome, Advocate Srivastava. He is a spearheading legal reform movement in India for children's rights through path-taking public interest litigation. He has 20 years of experience in human rights law and development in rural, urban, and scheduled area exposures within India. Advocate Srivastava has strong working background and theoretical groundings of human rights, child rights, and governance issues. I would like to take this opportunity to congratulate Advocate Srivastava as Union Cabinet Minister for Women and Child Development, Ms. Smriti Irani, while introducing the Prohibition of Child Marriage Amendment Bill 2021 in Lok Sabha on December 21, quoted the landmark Supreme Court judgment of Independent Thought versus UOI 2017, 10 SCC 800, declaring Prohibition of Child Marriage Act 2006 as a secular legislation. I congratulate you, sir, for that. So let's start off with this. I would say there has been a very old perception that women mature earlier than men, thus should be have a lower age of marriage, which resulted in certain laws and further amendments in them. As in 1929, difference between the marriageable age was 4 years, where legal age for marriage for men was 18 and for women it was 14, which were amendment with the regular amendments in 1978. It was changed to 21 for men and 18 for women. However, against this old perception, the 205th Law Commission of India report submitted in 2008 assertively recommended a uniform age for both the genders, stating there is no scientific reason why this should be different. So, to start off with the discussion today, I would like to ask Advocate Nupur Singhal to give us a brief introduction of the legal implications of Indian women of this bill across the country, irrespective of their caste and religion. Dr. Singhal, Advocate Singhal.
Thank you, Anupma and everyone here. So, first of all, good evening, everyone. And truly, it's my honor to speak on this important issue of marriageable age of girls. And for this, I thank first the Delhi Mentoring and Skill Council of Wiki for organizing this event. And as you rightly said, Ms. Anupma, that let's start by seeing what is the reasoning behind this uh, bill to come into this, and what was the reasoning actually the government gave by to increase this age of marriage by women. So what the government says in their statement of objects and reasoning, that they observed that there are various different laws pertaining to marriage in in India. Like, there's a Hindu Marriage Act, Special Marriage Act, Indian Christian Marriage Act, Parsi Marriage Act, Muslim personal laws, and Foreign Marriage Act, and etc. There are so many laws. But there is no uniformity in minimum marriage age of men and women. Only in Parsi Muslim Marriage and Divorce Act, if you know, there's a age is similar. Sorry, not in Parsi, but Indian Christian Marriage Act. Both the parties have to be 21 years of age. In all others, it is to be a male is 21 years of age and a female has to be 18 years of age. And there's a great gap in Muslim marriage laws, personal laws. So there is a very vast difference between the marriage age of men and women. So they say they then take into consideration what about the Constitution of India. It guarantees gender equality as fundamental right, and it also guarantees prohibition of discrimination on the basis of sex. So basically, two genders cannot be differentiated any on the basis of their genders. Two persons cannot be differentiated. So it was observed that existing laws do not adequately secure these guarantees. So the women are often put to disadvantageous position in respect of education, especially higher education, vocational instruction, or attainment of psychological maturity, as you rightly said, like there is no scientific basis, and also the skill sets. Therefore, entering into employment sphere and being part of workforce to make themselves self-dependent is critical area. Therefore, they bring this present bill as per them. So when I read about this proposed bill, if I say, sitting in my Delhi office, it was easy to make me to think like, what's the need of it? Who anyways get married before 24 or either 28 these days? I got married into at 28.
No,
So
I think it's crossing 30 now. If we are talking about the urban group, urban
right.
people, we are crossing 30. 30 is a
True.
new, I think, new 20 now
Right.
for
So
the marriage.
I totally agree with you. So, but when I think about girls in like three tier cities, and I belong from Bulandshahr, UP, I think about girls basically belonging from these cities or the villages or rural India. I read so many cases about Haryana and Rajasthan where the child marriage is still it's like prevalent situation. Abhi
Mhm.
bhi even 18 years is not the norm there. The girls get married, even the boys, they get married as soon as they attain the age of one. I believe there's so many cases like this. Even in Delhi, if I say, I know people and including girls themselves who are waiting to attain the age of maturity, say like 18 majority, and just waiting ki 18 ho jaye and then we will get married and we'll have the family, and there is nothing about it. And meanwhile, they are waiting to get attain the age of 18. They think, okay, chalo pad lete hain, let's join college. As soon as even in second year or third year in the college, they'll get married, and even the family says, okay, ससुराल जाके पढ़ लेना, आगे पढ़ना है तो. This is the actually the norm, even the mindset I know in Delhi. I have friends who got married in the second year of college or something. So
Correct, correct.
basically, the education of girls was never taken seriously by the society. It's always saying that is the mindset. They are not the breadwinner. They are not going to be breadwinner. Even if they are earning, it is to be an addition of the male member to support
Correct.
him. It was
Correct.
never is like that she is the
Especially as a
main.
style of society do actually says that. We do
Yes.
not have that equality in Indian scenario as of today also, even in the urban lifestyle, not in the rural only, but in the urban lifestyle as well.
And Anupma, you won't believe I even heard it for myself as such for from my colleagues. Like this is, ma'am, आप तो सारा आपका saving ही होता होगा because sir is working.
That's correct.
That
Women,
is the
women,
mindset.
either you're spending on your own, on your own self, or you're
Right.
just saving it. You're not using your. You just have to use husband's income for your all the day-to-day requirements.
And that is the issue where even the men suffer, I'll say, because what happened, they don't have the right to choose whether they want to be a breadwinner or not, whether they want to be a
Yeah,
prime
you.
giver or not. So that's
Yeah.
actually the mindset of it. So, and I really agree with this actually, Bill, when you raise the age of 21. So 21 is the basically age, if I say, where now the 5-year courses are professional courses are starting from after 12th. So then you will be completing those courses, or you will be completing your graduation if you are doing like a 3-year course or something. So by that time, I believe the both all the people, irrespective of their genders, when we come to college, we come meet other people, we come to society, the big world, then only our mindset, our mind gets expand, and we learn so many things and listen, like that's the word we see new, the new word we see.
Advocate Singhal, I would just like to ask you one question. Though I am completely in favor of this law, and it actually is a very good thing that has Indian government has come up with, but I have a doubt here that I would like to ask to the council here. Uh, though we are increasing the legal marriage age of 18 years to 21 years, okay. However, child marriages are not getting void. If that has happened, if it has been stopped, no questions asked there. It is not going to impact the person. But then if the marriage has been there, it has already been done, it does not get void. It stays. It gives them the opportunity only after they turn 18 or 21 and they have a 2 year period where they can say that I would not like to continue with the marriage because it was a child marriage or something like that. If
Right.
I'm correct in the saying that.
Right.
But why this bill is not talking about voiding the child marriage completely? That's where I am actually coming from. When I look at this bill, this is the only concern that I have with this bill.
Okay, so I think in detail, Advocate Vikram will explain that. But what I have in mind, what I believe in Indian society is really difficult. It's really difficult because we have so much of family influence, and we have believe in so much of family system. It's really difficult to get out of the marriage even after attaining the age of majority. If you are some 30 years old or 40 years old, taking a decision of divorce is a big thing. So talking about why to how to make this criminal, and what do you think, like family will say okay, go and like put my parents in jail or something, like I don't think so it's there. So yes, voidable is an option, and I believe that's a good option. So
Yes.
once you gain the majority and you are able to think what is correct for you or what is wrong with this, whether you want to be in this marriage or not, you have this option of taking it out, means going out or staying. So they may because what happened generally when they get married in the small age of like 1 or 2 years or 5 years or 10 years, generally they families, what they do, they raise both the children in a as a friendly situation, in a friendly situation. So they may with like to stay with each other, they may not like to stay each other. So let this, I believe, some should be there, something should be there to left it to them also to decide.
Sure.
So that's about me. I do have other doubt in my mind also, but I'll take it in the end if nobody else will take it. So I leave it on that, and I believe I'm eager to listen others also.
Sure. So here I would just like to ask Shikha ma'am. Shikha, what exactly you think when it comes to women's safety and how do you think it will impact this kind of marriageable age in link is increasing, and do you think what kind of impact it will have on the safety and the security of the women as well? Will that impact anywhere?
Definitely. Starting with the law, I think it's a great step by the government. First of all, by increasing from 18 to 21. And of course, Nupur has already talked about why and what, so I'm not going to repeat anything. But it's very important that these kind of things come in limelight, right? So when government takes an action, a lot of people know about it. So it's talk of the town. When people know, because the problem is not the law. The problem is the implementation of the law. This is what I feel, right? We had this law of the age was 18, but how many people were actually following it, right? So according to me, the issue is people like us, we should collaborate more, bring into the awareness, educate more and more people so that they follow the law, right? Of course, we are not talking about urban cities. It's more in the rural area where we need to educate. We need to join hands with more and more councils and educate as many people as we can. And when we talk about security, I would like to say that women are much more compassionate than men. Women are much more empathetic than men, still considered as weaker than men, right? So I think that it's time to stand up, raise your voice, and Delhi Safe, our council, Delhi Safety and Security Council, we are doing our bit in educating more and more women and children on how to protect themselves and giving awareness about the laws, because the more people know, the more they will follow. Because they will follow, then probably we'll make a better place for everyone.
Absolutely. Knowing and then execution is something that we need to work on. Yes, Kalyani, if I may have your thoughts on the same.
Sorry, I missed.
Kalyani, if I may have some thought from you on the same.
Sorry, I couldn't unmute myself.
Yeah.
Thank you, Anupama ji. Thank you, one and all present here. Yes, I would say that, see, safety is a prime concern when it comes to any age, being married, unmarried. Safety is a prime concern, especially when it comes to women, girls, ladies. It definitely is a prime concern with the way things are going on across the world, just not in India, and with the way things have gone very badly in India. So, even to this day, if girls are going to college, if girls are going to work, we ensure that their safety is our prime concern as family members, as company. If we are HRs, our prime concern is to see that the women employee or the lady employee in the office has that security till she reaches home. It shouldn't be that she is affected in any way. And these are the reason why we have so many policies, so many procedures, so many rules kept in the organization so that it is adhered to. Yeah. And when it comes to marriage, this is my personal view. Like how sati was a part of religious act in the past, but still government successfully went ahead and decoded it and completely removed it. They have to take necessary steps to even abolish this child marriage and stand by what they have said. This definitely is showing to the world that India supports gender equality, because gender inequality is a major concern across the world in every field and every area. Even developed countries, they have not been able to implement gender equality to the extent what we Indians have done. And I take immense pride in saying India is one country. We've had women prime ministers, women presidents, and we've had women as queens from ages,
Correct.
from
And
centuries.
we're still making our country proud.
Yes,
Yeah.
yes. So it becomes easy for us to pick up from here and go. Only thing that needs to be changed here to bring this law in enforcement and having this done is to touch on the emotional aspect of people, where they say, we are doing this because it's a religious activity. If we don't do it in a khandan, sharp lag jayega, ye ho jayega, wo ho jayega. Those aspects needs to be changed. Now that has to be changed. All these religious heads who are there, who are in the top notch people, who are these Swamijis, who are these gurus, they need to educate people in these aspects. I feel they hold a lot of social responsibility and lot of power equal to government in changing the mentality of people and emphasizing what government is doing.
Correct.
Especially talking about this child marriage can be completely eradicated. Like how we overcame sati once upon a time, we can overcome even child marriage. And as Nupurji mentioned that 21 years you'll finish your basic graduation. Come on, even girls have right to enjoy, because after marriage, whether or not girls are doing extra burden, taking extra load, invariably anywhere in the world, even if they are single, even if they are married, but they need that time to enjoy. Just give them that buffer time so that they can enjoy that adulthood. Let them enjoy, let them go eat, play around, play the fool with friends. That is much needed. And I think that needs to be emphasized in parents' head, that their daughters need to enjoy it. As parents, only they can give. They may or may not get it in their in-laws' house. So let them do it. Certain these are certain things where I feel government can touch upon those sensitive parts, taking the help of all these gurujis, swamijis, religious heads who can go about re-emphasizing all this in the religious aspect, because I am sure all this is there even in the religious books what we read. Nowhere it is told that the child marriage was performed. Yes, they have done it, but when you see the main epics, Ramayana and Mahabharata, they have said they were at the age, attainable age when they got married. They knew what they were doing.
At least their primary education in their gurukuls were completed
Exactly.
before they got married.
Exactly. So this has to be emphasized in places and cities and towns where they still hold on to this and are tormenting girls for marriage. Net, I would say this can be doable. All of us should cooperate in getting this, and special responsibility are on all the religious heads.
What you say, if I would just ask you a question here, that not only this, it will not impact only the education level of the women in India, but don't you think it would also impact the health part of the Indian women?
Definitely.
Because the pregnancy age would obviously go from 18 to 21, and the hormones that a person gets after 18 and then 21, there'll be always be a difference. So the pregnancy, if pregnancy is not happening at 18 but happening after 21, and then following the 2 year 3 year gap for the second child, I'm sure that will actually impact on the health of Indian women as well, which normally is on the downside. Which, if we go by the surveys of the different medical associations, we do see there's a downside of women hormones, and there are a lot of problems with the bone structures and certain. I'm so sure cervical cancer is one of the major concerns in Indian women these days. So, don't you think that would also impact, this particular bill will also impact there as well?
Definitely. In fact, I would say this is not only impacting on the physical health, it helps even on the emotional and the mental health of children or girls. Because 21 is the age when the maturity levels starts increasing and they start understanding why it is. The patients start coming in because they are crossing the adolescent age and they are getting into adulthood. So definitely they are able to reason out things what used to be like erratic reasoning question, ye kyun hai, ise kyun karna chahiye. We've all crossed that age. Come on, we've been really very arrogant in certain cases. We've been like really headstrong and headbent on what we want. But this age is something where we will become submissive and we say, okay, parents are saying this, so let's agree with this. Okay, we need to do this because society demands this. Or if I do this, there will be peace around me. So let me go about doing this. That will have a better, what do I say, better impact in their life. And not only that, 21 years age is one thing which is accordingly, I would say government has strategically chosen this and said this is the best, because not only physical health, mental health, enjoying fun, everything, but strategizing comes into picture. That is the age where women will start thinking, okay, I need to focus on my career. At the same time, I need to balance my life. So I need to convince this way that I need kids after this many years. Or I could have my first kid and then take a break or go about working. In process, women are getting independent. Like we discussed earlier, if a woman is earning, it's understood by default that all her income is gone for saving. But no, we got to teach these girls that we are equal. It's our responsibility to manage. It's not only husbands earning and we enjoy. Even we have to pitch in, we have to go about managing. And I always say in every forum I talk, come on, we have women as administrators, as chefs, as doctors, as leaders, as guides, as mentors, as teachers, everything in one package as a wife. She is that for any man she gets married to, right?
Correct.
So her responsibility and her way of approaching things strategically changes at this age. That's my gut feeling and my experience, I can say.
No, absolutely agreed with that. Now, Dhwani ji, if I may ask you to take on to this topic, how do you feel about this?
Thank you, Anupma. So I think this is one of the most progressive law that has come into uh, implementation. And like most of us have already spoken about why, what, and everything. My only concern is, this is a typical example of a top-down approach. Now, the thing is, in a country like India, where democracy is functioning, we cannot expect that one day the law comes into implementation and it would be implemented. And this is a prime concern. And therefore, I always say, whatever the government brings, the onus is on Parivar more. So it has to come at the level of family. Definitely, Kalyani ji has put up a very important point of getting in spiritual leaders, because religion, whether we agree or not, still plays a major role in Indian society. And Hindu families, Muslim families, Christian families, irrespective of the religion you follow, it still plays a very important role. Fortunately, I would just say that of late, most of the religious leaders have started talking in a more progressive language. So that is one positive point. But still, I feel when a law comes into implementation, the best part is at least a discussion starts. So now what is happening? People like us are discussing. Similarly, when the same law is heard by people in rural areas, they would at least start thinking about it. And when we start thinking in the right direction, maybe not in the next 2 years or 4 years, but I'm sure maybe in the longer run, things will change for better. Even at the age of 18, I don't think that was the age when most of the people were getting married. I'm not talking about the fact that people were getting married at the age of 1 or 2. That is another extreme. But even in metros, I know all of us would have encountered people who used to get married at the age of 16 or 17. They would get some slight amendments done in their Aadhaar card and get married. So the fear of law, वो डंडे का डर आज भी है लोगों में. So probably the only thing that law does would be probably have that fear in us, and people would probably not get married till 21. And when you are free, obviously, parents would think, let's send their daughters to school or colleges and everything. And education definitely is the most potent weapon of bringing change. When women are empowered, you start thinking. And particularly if I talk about myself, I feel college teaches us so much. Our school environment would not teach us that much, because schools are so restricted. The principal, teachers, everybody has their eyes on you. But what your college teaches, those skills are for the lifetime. Irrespective of the gender, I feel that is those 3, 4, 5 years are the most precious years of your life. So by giving those 3 years to the daughters of this nation, I think that is amazing. And I just hope that people follow this. And the onus is on each one of us, you, me, our families. If we see somebody breaking the law, we have to educate them. In metros, rural areas, everywhere. So that is my take. Yeah.
Absolutely. And I would just like to add an anecdote from one of the camps that me and Radhika, we actually organized in one of the schools in Delhi. So it was for these children from 6th to 10th classes. And we were actually introducing them certain life skills, and we had certain sessions for them. So we were also having parents there in that particular group. And I really wanted few students to actually continue with the further sessions as well. So I was talking to one of the parents, and I was very happy with the girl I was talking to, and she was very participative in all the sessions that we had. So I really wanted her to go for our weekend sessions that we were planning for the school. And I was talking to the mother, and I was like, please let your child attend this session. And she was like, nahi, abhi nahi karna hai, abhi nahi karna hai. And I was like, why? She was actually in 10th standard at that point of time. Like, this is very good, because this is the time that she has to decide her career, and she has to, nahi madam ji, bas 10th khatam ho gaya, ab inka हमने ना शादी कराना है. मैंने कहा अभी 10th हुआ है, अभी she's not even 18. नहीं, अभी साल भर में 2 साल घर रहेगी, फिर हम शादी कर देंगे, लड़का देख रहे हैं. And this is where I think what you're talking about, Dhwaniji, that this will give them that blossoming period in the colleges, which these girls are actually missing out on.
Absolutely, absolutely.
Yeah. Shreyoshi ji, may I have your thoughts on the same now?
Hi. Everyone's spoken about, and sorry for the rhetoric, but I hope I'm audible.
Yes, yeah.
Yeah. I'm saying that while everyone's spoken about what better we could have done and what would have been nicer if it had happened, and wish we could have made this void, or wish we could have used the brute power of the government, like it was done for Sati, to actually take it off. I would say that if we can pause for a moment and think what we can do of this, what we've got. I know it's not the best, but what we've got, what we can, if we could think, and being part of the social media council, I think it's important for us to kind of raise awareness of what has happened. Because a lot of times what happens is these things die in a whimper. You don't get to know that such a thing has happened. And while, like Nupur was talking about, there are cases in villages and smaller cities where marriages happen very early and people are actually allowed to grow up together, and maybe they choose to stay together after that. But there are still a lot of people who are sitting, women, who are in the threshold, who are these fence sitters, who are at the threshold of 18, and they're now getting married at 18 because, like Dhwani said, dande ka dar hai. Those people, if I can hold their hands and take them to 21, in those 3 years, I could do a couple of things. One, I could open their eyes into what the world is about through education, which is exactly like Dhwani said, that which you don't get to understand in school at all. When the NEP will happen, possibly we will. But right now, the way school education is, it is very regimented, and you just know how to get marks. You don't learn much beyond that. So it opens your eyes to the world. That's one. Second, it makes them aware, and that is where I think people like us can come into play, makes them aware of what your rights are as a citizen. Because the way I think, Anupama, when you started talking about it, you said that there is no scientific reason to prove that it should be different between a man and a woman. The fact that that is true is also the same fact that there are the same rights which exist for you, which we only get to know when we get into trouble. Only when we are in trouble, we realize that, okay, I cannot be violated because I have the same right as you. I cannot be taken for granted because I have the same right as you. But these 3 years, I think, are a window of opportunity, which we could kind of use to try and spread as much awareness possible amongst people. That what can you do during these times? One is empower yourself, and like when he said, it's the most potent weapon anytime. Empower yourself with education and with awareness, and also understand what is important for your health and well-being. Because the other thing that's going to happen, and I think, I think Anupama also spoke about that, because you will be then burdened to have a child. Agar 18 mein hota to tabhi ho jati, ab 3 saal baad hai to tabhi ho jayenge, lekin karna to baby hai hi. So use this time to understand what's good for your health and well-being. And I think two sets of people, and I don't think I can call them sets of people, but two cohorts should be really, really working close to us. One is the parivar, like you said. Parents need to understand that this is the golden chance that you've got to kind of understand what your daughter can be or could be if she didn't get married, or even if she does get married. And the other is the men, who should start putting their foot down and saying that, because even though the law has happened, we know that it will get implemented in a haphazard manner. It always happens like that. But if they can put their foot down and say that I'm not getting married because you're not 21, then that is something that, and if there are lots of, a lot of campaigns have happened against women discrimination in the last 2-3 years in India, like Farhan Akhtar's Mard and many other such campaigns, which kind of constantly talks about men taking a step to say that we will not stand by this. So if we are going to call out other men who are doing this, then it just makes the entire movement stronger. And feminist is not just about being a woman. So if that other cohort also kind of puts their foot down and says that we are not going to, participate in these just because, first, because I am aware, And second, because I realize what it brings to the table. And I realize that a woman who's educated, who comes home, even if she doesn't work, even if she's a homemaker, who's educated and aware, who comes home, actually makes a better home for me and my child. And my parents also takes better care of them. Then I think we will be able to use these 3 years of, for a lease of life, I could call it 3 years of, lease of life that we could have got. If you could use that the most, then that's something that I think we can like really put together our strengths and work.
Right. No, I absolutely agree on that. Do we have Kavita ji here, Radhika?
No, I think.
No, no.
She hasn't able to join because of some unavoidable circumstances. So we can continue.
So I think, Radhika, I'll pick you now for the next, your thoughts actually now on this. If I tell you the thought that I actually have in my mind, when I was listening to Kalyani ji, this thought actually came to my mind at that point of time. When we say that the age is 18 for women to get married, they are still teenagers. And as the medical science go about, teenage is actually a time where the person is very rebellious and the person is not very level-headed and the person is not thinking rationally. Okay. They just say, okay, I want it, so I want it. They don't think rationally. By the time they're 21 years of age, okay, they're able to rationalize things. So what I think this is a pretty good step when they're taking up women's age from teenage to somewhere plus 21. So that would be a good step for the government. Radhika, your thoughts on the same?
I absolutely agree with what Anupama you are saying and everyone who's there in this panel is talking about. There are very less number of times when we are watching a news channel and we all say that everybody should keep quiet and please increase the volume of the TV. This was that moment. I was in the hotel having my morning breakfast, and I just saw this news flashing. It was very difficult for me to just ask everyone to be mum at that time. But I just put up my plate in my hand and I moved, and standingly I'm eating what is happening and watching the news. And I was like, wow, at last we have something for us. At last, someone in the world would have taken an initiative to understand the basics that we require our space. Let me tell you one story, which we all know as females. We are born up with that. Even if somebody have not told us, our genes, it's like the biggest memory having, and we all are inculcated with that. So it's like Shikha is getting married and she lives happily ever after. And the story ends.
That's how all MMBs, I think, define the women these days.
So Shikha, it can be, Shikha, you can understand, it can be ... getting married and living happily ever after. And immediately after that happiness, 1 or 2 weeks after, there is, let's plan a baby. The topic is changed from living happily ever after, which is just ended to 1 or 2 weeks, and the topic changed. Now, this is not divided amongst any ages. If we get married at 12, then also the same thing happens. If we get married at 18, then also the same thing happens. 21, 30, 35, 40, 45, whatever the age would be. But the story continues as it is. If we talk about this particular law, I would thank to the first person who had that initiation in the minds that we are also existing, right? And let's talk about, we have already talked about this thing a lot in this discussion. Medically, it means physically, it is required. Emotionally, it is required. Spiritually, it is required. Socially, it is required. Then what was stopping us to have this kind of a law since ages and decades in India? Not in India, anywhere in the world for women. Now, if even in urban cities, absolutely said, correctly said by Nupur, that we still have people who are waiting to be 18 to get married. Is this their uneducation? Is this their lack of awareness? Is this something their initial excitement to get married? Will it be curtailed till 21? Will it be I would say within this 3 years of span, will something new happens, miracle happens, and they will understand that, look, excitement, you can wait, just complete your studies? Will it be in that way? Answer is again a question. One more thing, who is the culprit? So it has been said, it's been said, I don't know how to put in words, Nupur, because I'm not legally aware about it, but Guna karna is also a crime. Guna sehna is also a crime. So who is the crime person? Who is the person who can be taken into a picture that, look, the girl who's getting married is a person who is responsible for it, or look, the people who are making her forcefully or willingly married are responsible for it? Who is that category? Is the government for all those marriages which has probably not having a happily ever after ending? Will it be somewhere absolutely said by Shreyoshi too, that from 18 till 21 we would be saving at least lakhs and crores of lives, which could have not if the age was 18. And this always makes me into that dilemma of understanding that we need to educate. Lack of education, lack of awareness about what is correct and what is not correct. Who will tell us as a child? Who will tell us that what is right and what is wrong? We always talked about a lot of things related to sex education too, which has to be started in very early ages of life so that we can able to stop blunder of crimes which was being there. So why not this was being inculcated? So why we are always talking? But again, today we are at the thought while eating my breakfast, if I see, oh wow, finally. Now, if finally, I really hope that this bill should not take much of time on the files of the government, and we can take it forward very quickly, because this is not something which is wow. This was the necessity probably decades and decades before. We are late. And the story continues not only for 1 or 2 weeks, and then we have to plan baby. We always can understand as females that bearing a child is not a one-time responsibility, right? And we have to understand the gap. India is in urban cities, we are fortunately in the span, or probably overall we can say that from the period where a female is bearing 9 to 10 children, probably it means that 10 years or 12 years of their life, they were only bearing children, yes, right? Have now stopped to probably 3 or 4 or 5 in the rural cities, rural areas, and probably 1 or 2 towards the urban areas. But somewhere that has to take a leap. Now, who has to take that? I would thank the first person in the government or in wherever who has taken that initiative. I really wanted to ask Mr. Srivastava on that. Sir, kaun tha? Ek baar milkar aana bahut banta hai. Ek baar milkar aana deserves, or she deserves something. Something.
I absolutely agree. I absolutely agree, Radhika, on that.
And Anupama, one more thing which I want to ask which I want to add is why we are not celebrating. It is to get approved. That is the reason it's still on hold. The celebration is still on hold. That is the reason. We are waiting for the thought. I'm saying again, I'll ask Mr. Srivastava, who was the first person? Yaar? Ek baar to banta hai. Let's cheer up.
Let's have Mr. Srivastava now on the discussion.
Yes,
now.
Let's have Mr. Srivastava if he's sir, are you there? Yes. So good to see you.
Hello, Mr. Srivastava.
Thank you so much for calling me, and special thanks to Nupur who linked me to you all. It's very heartening to listen to so many people with similar thoughts, and most of the issues which you all spoke about are serious concerns, are, I think, experiences which you have all gone through as females, and must have also experienced in your own personal life, in your work and all. So really interesting to listen to you all. I don't know backgrounds of most of you. So it's real pleasure to listen to the kind of things which you all brought out in your sharing. So I'll take a few minutes of, with regard to who thought for the first time, I'm not sure about it, but just a little background. There was a task force constituted by the Government of India based on a report by Niti Aayog, where the concern was more to do with the health aspect of women and child. So both maternal and infant mortality was the issue. And they were trying to link it with the SDGs. So when you link with the SDGs, so these are the issues which Government of India was concerned about. And so they kind of constituted a task force, which was chaired by Jaya Jetli ji. And then the task force asked for a lot of, it was an open consultative process where a lot of organizations, individuals shared their views, concerns in support and in against. But we don't have those details, how many have placed their views. But finally, that committee came out with their report. And based on that report, the government has tabled this bill in the parliament. So that's the background of this bill. I'd like to put few things in perspective. One is if you look at the census data, 2011 census data, there are around 30,000 children as per the census 2011. Around 30,000 children, and children to say there are 30,000 girls below the age of 15 years who are already mother of 2 child. Now this is census data, Government of India, and if a 15-year-old is mother of 2 child, we all understand the exploitation must have started somewhere between 12 and 13 years of age.
Correct.
And if you look purely from the legal perspective, if you look at the age of consent, so the last amendment to the Indian Penal Code was in 1940, where they declared age of 15 as the age of consent for both married and unmarried girls. Now, that means all the sexual relationship, even by husbands, post 1940, with their wives who were below 15 years of age, were legally rape. So all these 30,000 cases of exploitation as per the census are criminal offenses of the gravest form. And so that's the background where I like to come from. Second is the independent thought judgment by the Supreme Court, where they kind of looked at the artificial distinction between a married and an unmarried girl below the age of 18, especially between the age of 15 and 18. And what they said is that this is very artificial. The fact that somebody got married does not snatch away the status that she is a girl. So, and we all know what the court then said, we have to go away with this distinction. And so anyone having sex with the minor girl, even as husband, it will tantamount to rape. Now, what happened? What happened when the Supreme Court declared this judgment? I was listening somebody saying who's the culprit and all those things. Now, what happens if you take away this right? Who was being protected before that? So your IPC used to have an exception that husbands can have sex with their minor wife between the age of 15 and 18. That was exception to the section 375. Now that exception was actually a very protective provision. And whom they were protecting? So they were actually protecting the men who are very eager to marry, if I'm allowed to speak, very young so-called virgin girls.
Correct.
Untouched. And this mindset, this psychology of such pervert men, you cannot imagine to what extent it is. I'm again quoting a data which is of NCRB 2016. There's a special data which you can find in NCRB data, which talks about kidnapping and abduction of women or for any human for the purposes of marriage. Now, in the 2016 data, purely for the purpose of marriage, girls who were abducted and kidnapped was almost like 16,000 something, the whole group, batch of people. That included 139 girls who were of the age 6. So age 6 girls, 139 girls of age 6 were kidnapped for the purposes of marriage. Now, this is the psyche which the country is still grappling with. That there are large section of men who want to marry young girls, who want to engage in sexual relationship with very, very small girls. And this is the mindset which we are dealing with. Now, in this background, when the increase of age of child marriage comes up, it opens a lot of questions. It needs to be looked at from various different angles and perspectives. Two things, somebody was raising the issue of what happened issue. I wrote a very similar article on that day. In fact, Times of India kind of covered that article. I'll just show it for you. So this is what Times of India covered. That's one of my concerns also, that if you don't make it void ab initio, just increasing the age will not serve the purpose. So that's point one. Point two is, if you have increased the age of marriage, and if we go by the larger call which the government has been giving for the last 6-7 years, is that of the Beti Bachao and Beti Padhao. So your Beti Bachao wheel has become strengthened, but now the government need to invest on the Beti Padhao aspect of it.
Correct.
So how you amend Article 21A and increase it to 18 at least, and also invest on post 18. Say, if I can assume that till 18, if a girl continues to have education, she will be able to complete her class 12. So how then there are incentives, or say there are free scholarships, free education to girls, so that they are able to cover their, either they do a normal graduation or any skill development or vocational training, whatever is their choice post 18. So how much government is intending to invest, increase the reach of the schools, and post schools, how they take care of the girls is very, very critical to now, how government looks on that. In terms of, somebody was speaking of the top-down approach, I really like that term. And one of the things which now the girls are so happy about, and why they are so happy about, because even the parents who were kind of aware of, used to wait for that, what do you say?
Trigger of 18 years. Just the line border touching 18 years.
When the girls will complete their 18 years.
Yes.
And this top-down approach also needs to be seen from that power dynamics which happens within a typical patriarchal Indian family.
Okay.
And 99% of the girls, I don't think they choose their husbands. So things are written before they get married, and once they are married, everything is then written for them. You can actually, in most of the time, you can just write, you can use a template saying what will happen now.
Absolutely.
Once a girl gets married at the age of 16, 17, 18, that template will work for almost like 90% of the women in the country. This
Correct.
is now going to happen. So I think what we need to look at is how government takes it up, and how the girls, once they have crossed the age of 18, they not only will be, as somebody was also sharing, they will not only be have a little larger worldview, they have more experience, they will be more informed, make better choices. In my travel, I've traveled across the country, and in my engagement with girl children, whenever I engage with them in the school premises and all, I definitely ask about their dreams. And jokingly, I also ask, how many of you want early marriage? And I've never heard a school-going girl saying, I want to get married as my #1 aspiration. None of them say that. So I think it's a wonderful move. Only concern, which is also, I think somewhere down the line, we must discuss those concerns also, that once a person is 18, and the age of marriage is 21, then there will be a lot of scope for innovation for people who have evil designs in their own mind. So I'll tell you what's happening in Assam. One of our partners, we have something called a campaign against child marriage. I would invite everyone, and I would love everyone to join those campaign and strengthen our effort. So one of our partners in Assam shared a lot of affidavits, which in the local courts, the lawyers are helping parents who want to, consummate child marriages. So what they're doing is two parents sit down and decide their marriage. And in the affidavit, what they mention is the fact that both these children were in deep love. You can find that on our YouTube channel webinar. We did a webinar purely on this, romanticizing so-called romantic child marriages. So these two parents are getting into a contract on a notary affidavit where they are declaring that two children are in deep love. So we decided to marry them, but we will not send the girl to the other family till she attains the age of majority. But in case of any breach, there will be certain compensations and all those things, which is very heavy. Now, this is where the situation is where when these girls reach 18. So how these innovative people and innovative parents backed by legal minds, how they innovate to find a gap between the legislative framework. And definitely nobody can stop two adults from getting into situations of live-in and all those stuff. So how those things will be taken care will be an I think serious issue. In terms of awareness and implementation campaign, all those things, as somebody was saying in as part of your thing, I think these are very, very important things. But the core is that it's one of the laws which almost everyone in the country knows. We used to have our office in Dantewada, which is one of the most remotest part of the country. Even in those villages, aap pucho and people will tell you 18 and 21. This is something which the government is one of the most, jisko legal literacy bolte hai na, this is one of the most legally literate provision in the country where everyone knows 18 and 21. So that must continue, but that the fear of law, somebody was saying the fear of law must be put in place. And we must see lawyers as a catalyst for change. And how we make that change. And the last thing is more like a plea to you all. There are lobbies which are working for getting it sliding down in terms of the law. And many of these lobbies are bringing in, the rights of the girl child in a very different way. So things like, they have an autonomy, or they have a right to decide, and sexual freedom. So a lot of discussion and equally strong arguments are being built. But I'm so glad that this group of is taking it up. And please, in whatever manner you can, I think there's a need to build a momentum and ensure that the girls get more power from all the fronts. And like as I said, the removal of exception from 375 blown off the protection which the men were having of having sex with small girls. This amendment will take away the rights of parents, 99% of parents who otherwise force their girls to marry someone. It will be a big blow on them. So how we see the whole thing, rolling out. So I don't think it will be very soon, because if it has gone to the standing out, it will take little time. That's the experience of other bills also. So it won't be very soon, but let's pray that it comes out with more stronger provisions and some more investment commitment from the government. That's what I'm looking for. Thank you.
I would say amen to that, Dr. Mr. Srivastava, because I think all the panel member that I have with me today on this discussion, they're absolutely in complete agreement with you on this.
I just want to add something, Anupa, if you allow me for
Yes,
just a
sure,
minute.
please.
So as Vikramji rightly said, and that's what I said in the beginning, that I have my doubt about actually the age of majority and the age of marriage. So, for example, I just give you like there's a case, recently there's a case in High Court where it's about the boy who has attained the age of majority at 18, but the marriage age is obviously 21, and he's somewhere in between, and he entered into a live-in relationship with a girl. The case came and they sought protection from the families, and the court says, okay, the live-in relationship is allowed and he's not getting married, so obviously it's allowed, there's no illegality and he should be protected. I have nothing about the live-in relationship, but as we discussed, the mindset, are they actually so matured or something, like whether they can go into marriage when we are talking about the marriage. So when we are saying they are no so mentally matured and to think about whether what is good and what is wrong, like whatever we say. So the live-in relationship will also, it's a point of concern. We have to see, as Vikramji said, we have to see how government is going to deal with that, because this issues will, I believe, will raise in this when the age of majority for both the men and women will is 18. However, the age is marriage is 21. There's a gap of 3 years now, and there it will increase a lots of live-in relationship, which will eventually ended. Being a advocate background, and I see so many cases coming after the that girl filed a case of 376 or cheating or something, that he cheated me into live-in relationships. So those cases, I believe, are going to increase. So that is just my one concern. We'll see what happens when it actually implements. Thank you.
Thank you, Nupurji. And from this, I would just like to do a kind of a small summary what Vikramji said or what Nupurji has said, and all the panel members. What I understand, though majority age or the marriageable age, they are different right now. But my concern earlier was actually putting a void on the child marriage completely and making it as a criminal offense, if even if it is Vikramji, when I started off the session, I actually asked this question to Nupurji, that when they're actually marriage has actually happened for children, okay, but that marriage does not get void, okay, and that's where my concern is. Yes, Vikramji.
See the in the independent thought judgment, the Supreme Court very clearly stated that the best way to end child marriages is the way Karnataka state has done. Now in Karnataka, when the case come up, there was another case, and based on that they formed a committee which did a study, and then the Karnataka state made an amendment making all the child marriages as void of an issue.
Okay.
Now that is the only state which did. Now post that, Haryana has also now amended, and Haryana, there's a bill in 2020 which was passed, and it clearly, in the bill itself, they have quoted the judgment, they have quoted the Karnataka experience and the observations by the Supreme Court. So void ab initio has to be, or is the only solution to end child marriages. There are a lot of concerns which people raise, and somebody was seeking that answer, that why the government may not have done it, is the fact that because a large number of child marriages which are happening across the country, and if it becomes void ab initio, it may be, it will definitely raise a lot of other legal issues. So, but those are something which one needs to discuss. But see, the point is that the moment a law comes, it does take a little time to sink in within communities and families. But the fear that it will have some repercussions, or maybe some small groups may have issues with its implementation and all, does not take away the fact that girls, as human beings, as individuals, have certain rights, and the state is bound to protect them. We cannot just shy away from, protecting or bringing stronger laws in the name of some other issues. So that role of the state has to be strongly put forward, and let's hope so that it comes out with flying colors. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Vikramji, and thank you to all the panel members today for a lovely and a actually lot of knowledge that has streamed through this particular discussion today. Thank you so much. Anybody else would like to put in any point across right now before we close down the session today? Yes, yes, Kalyani ji.
Yes, my only say here is it doesn't end with just educating girls or ladies that they need to stand for their right and get married only at the age the government has said as 21 years. But here, educating even the family members as in parents is very important, because on one of the TV national channels, where there was a discussion like this, it was clearly said, Indian families, we earn money and we save, and the biggest expense of our life is not for medication, not for food, not for anything else, but for marriage. The moment a girl is born, she's considered as liability, even to this day in many states, in many places.
Absolutely.
If that mindset is broken, then every father and mother will look at their child as a precious bundle of joy for their life, and they will not get her married till she wants to get married. Many cities we have found that, because obviously they are educated, they have seen world, they have seen every aspect of it, and that needs to be cascaded even to the remotest village. That needs to be powered with the religious aspect, as I mentioned earlier, because religious aspect is something that holds many people to do certain things.
Correct.
It's just not in, I'm not going ahead, sorry for mentioning this, it's just not only in Hinduism, it's there even in Islam and other religious things. Like how Nupurji said, in Christianity, only it is a place where both have equal rights and they have to, that has to be emphasized in every religious aspect, and parents need to be educated, because girls, as Sir said, when he asked girls what is their issue, I mean, what is their wish, what they want to, not one girl has told that she wants to get married as soon as she finishes her basic education. Which means girls have their interest, they want to do something, they want to achieve something, they are brought up with that mindset, but it is the family pressure, it is the family thing who consider her as a liability or a responsibility. They are getting to do this faster. That has to be broken and decoded. Then we will see that even child marriage can be abolished. We can bring in this law, implement it. And as Nupurji and Sir mentioned, we can focus on the major aspect of this live-in relationship and issues related to this, which can become a major implication in the years to come, can be handled seamlessly. This is my view. I mean,
no, that's absolutely, and I actually second you on that.
Thank you. Thank you, Anupama ji.
Anybody else would like to put in their points across and summarize this, whatever they would like to talk about now?
Thank you so much, everyone. I just wanted to share one moment that this was the most easiest session I would have ever planned. Trust me, within 45 minutes, everything was sorted, just a message away, and we all were one. The one reason which I probably feel that this was the one topic which we all connected with. So the moment we saw the news, we saw the things, we all get connected at one. I would really, really deeply, and from my core of my heart, I would thank you for everyone to be participant. Vikramji, special thanks to you to be there. And it is such an immense honor to be at one platform. Nupurji, Shikhaji, Kalyani-ji, Dhwani, every one of us. The only one thought and responsibility which I feel is on our hands at least today, starting from today, is that we should educate at least two families. If we can able to educate two families, let's spread that news. It can be, we all know what are the various sources of influence which a female have when she has to get married. That is her life, her decision, but we have various other influences which is bigger than her life and her decisions. So we have to be there. I think, Vikramji, we would be 100% connecting with Independent Thoughts somewhere down the line, and we will try our level best to give at least something. And if we can promise at least one life, trust me, it will do our sessions work. So, but one more thing, Vikramji, you have to promise us the moment you will be telling us the date that when this bill becomes a law. I am waiting eagerly. Trust me. Again, I have to just stop everyone and just want to raise the voice of the TV and see that, oh yes, something has done. So, yeah.
See, nobody can predict that day, but I'll tell you one thing. Now in the standing committee, there will be again invites by the parliamentary standing committee for views. Now I think Wiki and the different units under Wiki can have very strong pitch, and you can really make a strong pitch with your views, with so many signatures and from the forum. And if they many times they invite people to parliament to listen to them in person. So somebody from your group or anyone can also represent Wiki and Big Bang. So I think this is the time. See why I'm so happy. I'm glad that I've been in the sector for so many years. And many times women organizations and people who work on women rights would not look at the child rights aspect. And one of the reasons why child marriage per se has remained an untouched or a very kind of little affected area, because the NGOs who used to work on child rights or somebody used to work on women rights, it never overlapped. So I think Wiki has a very can have a very critical and a strong role. And whenever the that committee requires or seeks suggestions and recommendations, Wiki must pitch with their views and how whatever you feel like. And if called, please, why not go and a couple of you can go and speak with the parliamentarian and put across your views as the organization.
Sure. Vikramji, with this particular thing, thing that you've just said, I'll appeal all the presidents of all the council members of Wiki. Please take it up with your councils and collaboratively, let's get onto this and let's pitch in our thoughts and let's put onto the table with the government as this is what we would like to have. And this is what we voice for. Yeah. So absolutely. I think in a separate forum, we can probably have all the presidents and vice presidents, national, states, as well as international. Kalyani ji, I think I'll count you on this for the international councils, that we would like to put this across the bench and send it across to the government from the Wiki, as Wiki is one of the biggest organizations now we are putting in when it comes to women's security and women healthcare and women, everything related to women, basically. Not only in terms of the health and education, but business, the kind of work that we are doing these days, the kind of support we are offering to the mankind. I can say that it's we are doing everything now. Yes, Kalyani ji.
Anupama ji, I just would like to add, let's not just confine to Wiki. We have to tap all the other sister concerns like ALL. Definitely G100, where G100's motto is to bring in all the SDG goals, especially SDG 5 is what we are driving very passionately. And this is one of the key issues under G100. So I'm sure as the national chair, I can go about bringing in a whole lot of people, and definitely people from other countries also would come forward and influence this. I'm sure this will have a very major impact.
Absolutely.
Absolutely. Thank you. And we can say that we can make digital signatures. Kalyani ji, I trust you fully. Put wherever you want on this.
Definitely.
So, with this note, I really want to thank
let's have applause for each one of us and for all the panel members today.
Yeah, I can just ask if any guest want to say anything, because it's only we who had said anything.
I know, that was my thing. Yeah.
So any yes, please, Bina.
बहुत अच्छे आज मैंने व्यूज सुने, बहुत खुशी हो रही है और मेरी तरफ से आप सबको नया साल बहुत बहुत मुबारक हो इन एडवांस. गॉड ब्लेस यू ऑल बच्चों. गॉड ब्लेस यू ऑल.
Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you. We forgot to wish everyone very happy.
Happy New Year to you all.
Happy New Year.
Thank you and same to you.
Thank you.
And thanks for the lovely session today. Hope to meet you soon, very soon in New Year. And let's take it up on what we do say. Let's pull up our socks.
Right.
And rather, we have to make it an agenda for the next year for every council, because this is something we all can connect with, irrespective of whichever council we are in.
Right.
And this is one thing which should be on one of the top 3 agendas of our, rather, I would say top 1. This is something, Bikramji, you can trust us on this. And we
Definitely.
can trust you on this.
No, I'm so glad I've shared the website. Please have a look whenever you get time, and the email and phone number I've shared. Please feel free to connect. We can provide whatever support we can in terms of building a stronger pitch. And plus, you all have so strong views. I'm so glad that I think Vicky must put their weight behind it.
Done.
We'll show that.
Thank you.
We'll do.
Thank you so much. And have a nice evening, everyone. Thank you so much.
Thank you, everyone.